Think about it. A man who feels disrespected, belittled, or constantly challenged at home will struggle to lead. But a man who has a wife who uplifts him, believes in him, and supports him, he will thrive. If you're new here, I'm Julie, and I help wives restore and create a great marriage by sharing the things that I've learned from being married for over a decade. If you want a great marriage, I would love for you to press that like and subscribe button, as it also helps this video reach other wives who are struggling. One of the biggest misconceptions about submission is that it makes a woman a slave to her husband, that she has no voice, no thoughts, and no influence. But that is a complete distortion of the truth. Jesus came to this earth. He died on the cross to set us free. Why would you even believe the lie that submission makes you a slave? It does not. The same way you submit to God should be the same way you submit to your husband. You trust him. If you are struggling in your marriage today, then I understand that it can be hard to trust your husband. And if this is the case, I would love to invite you to my free webinar of Creating a Joyful Marriage. This will help you through steps to break down beliefs that is holding your marriage back from having and being a great marriage. I left the link to my webinar in the description down below for you to have access to. If you want to live out biblical submission, I want you to understand this. Learning or trying to be a submissive wife, you don't need to change who you are, but you need to improve who you are. If you look at your relationship with God, He loves us enough to constantly mold us to become better, to challenge our sinful nature, to become the person He has called us to be. Stop looking at submission as something daunting, as slavery. It's about growing, improving, growing closer to God, and enjoying the moments within the journey. From Genesis 2 verse 18, we know a wife is a husband's helpmate. She is his greatest source of strength. And in Proverbs 31 verse 11 to 12 we read, "The heart of her husband trusts in her. He will have no lack of gain. She does him good and not harm all the days of her life." Notice that? Her husband trusts in her. He leans on her. And why? Because her wisdom, her grace, and her submission makes him a better man. A wife's submission makes him a better leader. When you submit to your husband's leadership, you help him become the man God has called him to be. Your trust in him strengthens his confidence. Your respect encourages him to lead. No man can lead a wife who wants to control. It takes away his divine role. Think about it. A man who feels disrespected, belittled, or constantly challenged at home will struggle to lead. But a man who has a wife who uplifts him, believes in him, and supports him, he will thrive. A wife's submission is not weakness. It's a divine strategy. No man can lead alone. When you willingly follow your husband's leadership, it gives him the space to grow into the leader he is meant to be. And the beautiful part is, you grow too. God designed women to be nurturers, encouragers, and supporters. And when we embrace this role fully, we flourish. And I'm going to be honest, it's not always easy because we have this sinful nature of wanting to control. As an individual person, we struggle to surrender to God because we want to control our lives. Striving to live out biblical submission helps us and teaches us to let go of control and surrender. Can you see why striving to be a submissive towards your husband will help you grow closer to God? It's stepping stones to help us to let go and trust God to guide our husbands. And right there, in living out submission towards our husband, we find joy because we are living in alignment with God's plan. Being submissive doesn't mean you stop being you. It means you grow into a softer, more graceful, more powerful version of yourself. You stop carrying the weight of trying to be the leader. You trust God's design and allow yourself to be led while still being a source of wisdom and strength in your marriage. A feminine, submissive wife knows her worth and carries herself with confidence. She speaks with grace and kindness. She trusts in God's design and lets go of control. She encourages her husband's leadership rather than competing with it. This is not losing yourself. This is becoming exactly who God created you to be. So, how do you actually live this out? How do you submit to your husband in a way that empowers both of you? And here are a few practical steps that you can take. Number 1, practice respectful communication. A submissive wife knows that her words carry weight, and she uses them wisely. Speak to your husband with kindness and respect, even when you disagree. Instead of demanding, you encourage. Instead of criticizing, you express your needs gently. And this is something that I teach in my free webinar. So just comment the words "creating a joyful marriage" and I'll send you the direct link. Number 2, encourage his leadership. Let your husband make decisions and trust him with them. When he seeks your advice, offer it with love, but don't take control. Even if he does not take the advice, just let it go and support his decision. Support his dreams and his goals. Your encouragement is what makes him stronger. Number 3, let go of the need to control. We as women often feel the urge to fix things, to change, to manage everything. But true submission means stepping back and allowing your husband to lead. Trust in God, trust in your husband, and trust that God is leading your husband. Number 4, stay close to God. The more you grow in your faith, the easier submission becomes, and the more clear submission becomes to you. Pray for your husband daily. Ask God to guide him as he leads. Seek wisdom from Scripture and surround yourself with women who support biblical marriage. See how this all is about improving yourself? Submission is not about losing yourself. It's about becoming yourself, the version of you that God intended. When you submit to your husband in love, you unlock a beautiful cycle. Your submission strengthens your husband's leadership. His leadership strengthens your marriage. Your marriage brings both of you closer to God. This is not weakness. This is power. So today, I want to encourage you. Embrace submission with joy. Be the woman your husband turns to, the one he trusts and leans on. The world will tell you submission is outdated, but God's design has never changed. It is beautiful, it is powerful, and it is exactly what makes a marriage flourish. And if you want to learn more about how to cultivate a joyful, fulfilling marriage, I invite you to my free webinar where I teach wives how to embrace their femininity and submission in a way that brings true happiness. Just comment the word "creating a joyful marriage" and I'll send you the direct link. Let me know in the comments, what are your thoughts on submission? If you want to know more about it, please watch my next video on biblical submission. Thank you for watching and have a blessed day.